Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Block Party Podcast. This is episode number 10, and I'm Truth Blitz.
And it's your boy Crypto Blood, and today we have one of our favorite. He's a down-to-earth cat. We've loved him since the beginning. Silvertooth is on with us today. We talked about Vitalik not going to the consensus conference, CME futures, PayPal versus cryptos, Coinbase versus WikiLeaks and how they booted them off, and last but not least, PLR. So enjoy and check it out, people.
This the story of Crypto Blood and Truth Blitz. Ask them a cliff high what the truth is. They was just talking about the blockchain. That's when they heard Janet yelling and the cops came. They said, give me all your Bitcoin and lock aim. Then Jamie Dimon showed up and the shots rained. So they hopped in the Lambo and took off fast. Welcome to the Block Party Podcast.
My man Silvertooth, welcome to the Block Party Podcast again, man. It's the second time on here. I'm glad to have you back, man. What's been up? It's been a long time. Things have changed since we were last on. A lot has changed, man. So, what's going on with you, though, brother?
Oh, thanks for having me. It's great to be back.
Yeah, you've been hanging in there pretty tough, man. Been catching those rats and stuff. I saw your videos of mouse traps or whatever you're doing. What are you doing over there, man?
That's just for home preparedness, things of that nature.
Okay.
That's basically it.
So yeah, we wanted to have you back on just to get an update on your viewpoint on a lot of stuff. We've been talking about a lot of the same things, topics in the crypto community that I think is really critical. We're at a really big turning point in cryptocurrencies. We had that huge high run up. I don't know at what point we were talking to you in that last interview. I think you were our first episode, wasn't he, Nick?
Well, our first one was just us. That was kind of the New Year's Eve kickoff one, and then the second one was Silvertooth. Yep.
So what was the price of crypto at that point? I can't even remember.
I don't know, but it was second week of January, so it was
good.
Yeah, it was a lot better than now. It was before we really took that big descend.
Yeah, dang, man, things changed, man. It was all good just a week ago.
I made a video yesterday, and I just had Danny from Crypto 99 channel on, and he kind of made the name for himself with the his theory on the futures manipulation or the manipulation of the market because of the futures. And he made a video yesterday, which I went and checked out, and the MtGox trustee just moved his remaining Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash.
I heard about that.
So, I'm actually looking at his wallet right now, and all of it's been moved. So it kind of a little bit alarming because we know what happens whenever he starts to move Bitcoin around.
So how much does he have left to sell?
Well, 16,000.
Okay.
16,000 and 16,000 Bitcoin Cash. So,
ST, what do you think about that? Do you think it's going to really move the markets if he sells again, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think they'll wait till it's a downward trend and try to dump it and make it a further downward trend and try to manipulate it even more.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't remember and I just talked about this off camera. Maybe CB, what's the per dollar? How much does a dollar affect the market cap? Is it like $20 or something like that?
That's
somewhere around there.
That's a good question. I don't even know, man. I've never looked at those stats for that dollar per.
I know Bix has talked about it, and when I just had Danny from Crypto 99 on, we talked about it, and he didn't know the exact number, but he said it's somewhere between $20 and $25 per dollar. Or a dollar affects the market cap about $20 to $25, somewhere in that area.
Okay.
So if we have $140 million worth of Bitcoin, do the math. So
I think I just saw that that the trustee is going to try to sell it over the counter this time.
Well, that would be good because
yeah.
I hope that's what happens.
Yeah, I think that's what I saw an article, and I'll share it with you guys, but I don't know if it's true. It could just be anecdotal. So
Have everybody let their guard down a little bit.
Right. But regards to the CME futures, Nick, I know you talked to my man. Was it Crypto 99? You said I didn't get a chance to watch that yet. I'm gonna check it out after this video. So what was his thoughts on that?
Well, he made a video when the first contract, shortly after the first contract launched, and just basically said that it's being manipulated, that the market's being manipulated for the futures, and I brought up the fact how my stance on it, your stance on it, and how you said the volume isn't really that high in the futures contracts as of right now, and I forget exactly what he said. I'm gonna have to go back and look. But he definitely thinks it's being manipulated.
Okay.
And I know, I don't know. I mean, I know it's right now it's not a significant amount of volume being traded on the futures market, but
right.
I definitely think there's manipulation in the market, though. You know that.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree. I think there is manipulation. I just think it's by those individuals. And I actually just did a video about this because there's a new article out saying that the CME futures. It's actually CME and CBOE combined hit an all-time high in volume. I think Wednesday.
Okay.
And
yeah, I didn't see that. I didn't see that video.
It's going out today.
Oh, okay.
It went out today, but yeah, I think the all-time high volume for a day was $690 million, and that they hit that on Wednesday. And then I went and did a price comparison to the volume, 24-hour volume for Bitcoin, and it's like 8 billion. So we're talking about 10% at its peak, at its futures peak. I don't know, man. I don't see it. I think there is manipulation, though. I just think it's by the whales, the mining pools,
Yeah,
the exchanges.
I'm sure they're definitely playing a part in it.
Yeah, they have a lot of money, a lot of Bitcoin to slosh around and manipulate. So I personally think, yeah, it's manipulation, but it's on the exchange side, the mining pool side. But
yeah, for sure. What's your take on that, Silvertooth?
It used to just be manipulation through the news,
Right.
Just try to come out and FUD it, and now they kind of backed off that, and they've found other ways to do it. So yeah, eventually I hope it evens out and we can go on. I wish there wasn't any futures market, honestly. I don't like it.
Right.
That's my 2 cents.
I hear you. And now we have, the NASDAQ coming out and saying that they might launch, or they would consider launching a crypto exchange. So, I mean, yeah, we thought the futures was gonna be the thing that took crypto mainstream, which has its good and bads, but now we see this, and you heard about that, right?
Yeah, well, the advantage of the futures is there's always going to be a want for manipulation. You know what I mean? There's always going to be that drive to get the upper hand and try to control it, and that's why I just didn't like it. I understand that it'll bring it out there and it'll competitively bring us up with the stock market and things of that nature, but there's that drive to try to make that buck off of it, and it can be a bad thing.
Yeah, I think like I've always been saying this, man. It's just like we gain one thing and we lose something else. It's always a give and take, yin and yang type of thing, in my opinion. So yeah, with NASDAQ possibly opening an exchange in the next 2 years or so, with the CME futures and CBOE, those are on ramps for institutions to really pour money in, but at the same time, it makes it more susceptible to manipulation. So what do you do? What can we do as single crypto community players? I don't know what we can do with that.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know what we can do to combat that at all. I don't see anything, honestly.
What's that?
I don't see anything that we can do.
No, we don't. We don't have that kind of a war chest as far as money goes. It's really, I mean, these people have obscene amounts of money that if they wanted to, they could do a lot of damage to the market, or they could move it up and pump the hell out of it. So, I mean, there's not much, a regular everyday person like me or you could do, except just hold on and try to play at their game. Unfortunately, they're going to be making the rules, and we just kind of have to adapt and ride their waves, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really all we can do, in my opinion, anyway.
I honestly think that Bitcoin is going to be hijacked. It's going to be the bankers' Wall Street crypto. I mean, that's where we're heading, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. They didn't build a Litecoin or Dogecoin exchange or futures exchange. They built a Bitcoin.
Right.
So they're targeting Bitcoin. And I guess now that I think about it, the only thing we could possibly do is move away from Bitcoin and start utilizing a lot of these other cryptos.
I brought that up with Danny, and I know we've talked about this on separate occasions and probably even together about, what would it take for us to break away from that being reliant on Bitcoin? Because when Bitcoin goes up, everything goes up. When Bitcoin goes down, everything goes down. So, what would it take for us to break away from being tied so heavily to Bitcoin as far as the rest of the crypto market? And, he does feel that it's going to happen over time, he said. And I think it could too. And I think, and actually he said this as well, is, the lower Bitcoin dominance gets, the easier that's going to be to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Silvertooth, what do you think would take for the markets to kind of decouple from Bitcoin so that we're not every move that Bitcoin makes up or down like the market is following? Like, what do you think?
I can't wait for that to happen.
Yeah, what catalyst do you think will prompt that, will start that, initiate that move?
Man, I wish I could see into the future, but I can't. Hopefully it's not a centralized platform that takes over. That's all I got to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think it just needs to evolve into what it's going to evolve into, and then it's going to spring forth from there. And I think Bitcoin's going to kind of go on its own. You know what I mean? It's going to be a platform for, like you said, for big industries or whatever, but it doesn't need to be the whole market. You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be a reflection of the whole market or bring the whole market up or drag the whole market down. That's just ridiculous, because Bitcoin has nothing to do with what OMG is doing or what other things are doing. It has no reflection of that, so it's just we just got to sit it out and wait. And people have to realize it has to go mainstream, I think, and then people have to realize that if Bitcoin goes up, that doesn't mean that my altcoin has a direct relation in value, or what I've invested in has a direct relation in value to what Bitcoin's at. And then, it won't affect it as much, I think.
And as we speak, Bitcoin dominance continues to drop, and we're right now at 37.4%. So, hopefully we continue on that path. But yeah, I agree. I mean, but on the other hand, though, it's great when Bitcoin's going up and all your altcoins and everything else in your portfolio goes up with it. But then the other side of that is, like when we were at 6,600 a couple weeks ago, and we did get down to 66, right? I believe so. I think that was the low.
Mm-hmm.
Everything went down with it. So, but yeah,
I personally think that this year will be that year that we see a decoupling.
I hope so.
Yeah, from Bitcoin, and the reason I say that is because like these projects, you got like PLR, you got OMG, all the EOS, all of these tokens, these projects are actually going to be rolling out their product. So now we'll have a true litmus test to what demand will be for the actual tokens that they've created. So I think if they're successful, if these projects thrive and they become successful, then the demand for those tokens will almost always be there. So it doesn't matter if Bitcoin crashes. If I need to get some OMG tokens to do XYZ, then I need OMG tokens.
Right.
So if I need EOS to stake and do a server or run a script or whatever, I need EOS. It doesn't matter what the price of Bitcoin is. So
I think another thing that's going to help that along is when we see exchanges start running a lot of alternative pairs, whether it's Tether pairs, ETH pairs. You know, the more they open up trading for things additionally that are paired to the altcoins, you know, and, you know, obviously everything is paired to Bitcoin, but then, you know, ETH would probably be second. Well, it depends which exchange, I guess. But, you know, the more we see other pairs starting to trade, I think that will help it along as well.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Yep. I totally agree with that. That's another reason as well. So, yeah. Do you think that's happening this year, though, Nick?
I hope so. I really do. I mean, exchanges are launching other pairs. I don't use too many exchanges anymore.
Yeah, me either.
You know, I use the couple that I use, and then I really need to start using Binance more, though. Binance scares me because it's not U.S. based, which I don't know if this is true or not, but it just makes me kind of uneasy. And not that I leave anything on an exchange, so I guess it really doesn't matter, but it just makes me uneasy, it being not based in the U.S. I don't know why.
I agree. And then it's like, you know, it's not so much a risk. It's more like a Bitfinex situation where we'll be using it. We get used to using it. We're loving it. And then boom, they're like, oh, U.S. citizens, you can't use it anymore. It's like,
and that makes me wonder about that. You know, they got that EOS Finex that's supposed to launch, you know, and that's going to be a decentralized exchange. But since Bitfinex has its rules with no more U.S. people, U.S. residents trading on that exchange, is it going to be the same for EOS Finex? I don't know.
Yeah, I would think so. Absolutely. Right. I don't see why it would be any different.
I don't know. It, like I said, it just makes me feel a little uneasy. You know, and I see where you're coming from too. With you know, there's a lot of stuff surrounding Bitfinex as well that I don't think would fly. You know, there's a lot of claims of manipulation,
the tether stuff and all that.
The tether stuff, yeah, a lot of different things that I don't think if it was a U.S. based exchange they would be letting that fly whatsoever. So
Silvertooth, let's talk about Pillar, man. That's a hot topic, or was a hot topic when did we interview Dave? About a month ago, right? Yeah, about a month ago. I know that was a big, or probably is still a big token for you, Silvertooth. What are your thoughts on Pillar? You got Snip going out there; they're promoting that. What are your thoughts about Pillar, long term or even short term? Just kind of give me your thoughts on it.
Well, I still have 17,000
nice.
Pillar. I'm still holding. I didn't get my 100,000 of them because, you know, you just never know with the future, and I didn't want to be all in on one, and you never know what the SEC is going to do. So, you know, I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket. I'm waiting them out, you know. They come out and they had a couple delays, and who knew is not going to have a couple delays, and you got to wait your time, and I'm with the anticipation on it. I love Pillar still.
Nice.
I'm still in on Pillar, and those will probably be the last thing that are in my wallet. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
I think it'll be good. We just gotta wait and see what goes on with it. So that's just my 2 cents. I don't know.
I think that you know, Pillar, it wasn't. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think it was really the delay in the news that they're not going to launch until January is really what kind of drove the price down. I think it was more the announcement that the exchange function was not going to be accessible to U.S. residents. you know, because it's normal. I mean, just about every project out there has seen delays.
Yeah, that's normal. That's definitely is not the case.
Yeah, that doesn't bug me.
No.
Well, the original thing was you were going to use the tokens in the system, and the tokens were going to pay for the system, and that's why I got a lot of the tokens. So everyone's going to want the tokens to pay for the system. And then the SEC came out and said, you can't use any tokens to pay for it. So they had to go with the cash-based system. So Pillar had to find a way to work around for the United States, and they said, all right, you're going to have a membership subscription now to deal with this. So there's got to be a use case scenario for the tokens. So in the Pillar system now, you use the tokens to purchase things, and there's going to be a purchasing system through there. So there's still a use for the tokens. So the SEC pretty much is what squashed the price on it. In my opinion, if they had just let them go and use the tokens as a pay system, I think Pillar would be up there in price right now. But they kind of squashed the idea of doing that, which is what the tokens were originally intended to do, and that's why we had tokens to begin with.
Right. What I'm wondering is, you know, this company has really no ties to the U.S., so how does the SEC even able to tell them what they can and can't do? You know what I mean?
Well, it's not that they can tell them what they can or can't do. They can just tell the U.S. citizens.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that puts a block. So that, like, everyone else in the world can still use the exchange, but us.
Right.
So they got to come in and put a blocker on all of us that have USA-based addresses and say, you guys can't use it, but everyone else in the world, you're free to have freedom on our system. So they're just basically limiting us, unfortunately, due to the SEC's regulation.
I'll just put a VPN on my phone.
No, they're still doing KYC though.
Yeah, I think
so
you're right.
Yeah, that still won't work. So that's the thing, man, and that's what kind of concerned me. Not just Pillar, but a lot of projects. We're in like at the beginning of this whole crypto evolution and blockchain applications and stuff, and we will find out. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know how all of this will pan out and work, but my concern is always friction and how frictionless can you get with these applications, because at the end of the day, the end user, the consumer, doesn't care if it's a blockchain app. You know what I mean? They just want it to be easier to use than what they're using now. And I'm talking about the masses, maybe not us. We care more about using things that are decentralized and so on and so forth. But if this is going to, any of these projects, if they're going to really take off, they have to be easier to use and have some direct benefit to use over a Facebook, over a Twitter or Instagram or whatever the case may be. So
I think that's very true. However, I think the way things, and I know people have been calling, you know, things like this to happen for a while now, but, you know, I look at signs and things that are going on in the economy. You know, we talked with Bix 2 weeks ago about what he thinks is happening. And I think if we see, which is in my opinion, a good chance, if we see some kind of catastrophic economic event, I think a lot more of the general population will care about decentralization, in my opinion.
I mean, they'll care more about getting out of fiat, I guess. I don't know, man.
I guess you might be right.
Users are strange, man. We are, you know, most of us are sheeple, so you got to remember that first.
Right.
So if a crisis occurs, they're going to go run to the government to get help.
Yeah.
If the government will help them.
Yeah.
They may not help them. I'm just saying that's going to be the sheeple's first reaction is government, how can you help us? How can you help us? So
what I'd like to see with that is decentralized to become a catchword, just like helping the environment. You know what I mean? When people are like, do you want to support a centralized platform or a decentralized platform? Once it goes mainstream, people are like, oh, if you support a decentralized platform, you're helping the world. But if you support a centralized one, you're helping, you know, keep us down, you know, and then it'll become like a catch phrase, and people will be like, I support decentralized platforms. You know what I mean? Because I want to help the world out. I'm hoping it gets to that point when the masses get in there, and then everyone knows about it, because first they're going to know, you know, the actual system, but then after that, you know what I mean, they'll get on their clicks, you know what I mean, and then they'll realize, hey, if I support this, I'm actually helping the world out. I'm actually helping get away from big government, and I'm actually helping do a good thing. So you know what I mean? And people generally like to do a good thing. And once you lead them towards that direction of doing a good thing, they'll usually follow that direction.
So Nick, you know how the whole Facebook Analytica, whatever that company is called, that whole scandal,
right?
Well, it looks like people are over that already. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people, they don't even care. They'll care for a minute, then they'll go back to using what's convenient for them.
They have a short attention span.
They have a short attention span.
Very short attention span. And people are so consumed by irrelevant things. And I know, listen, I'm nothing against sports, but sports and, you know, the TV in general, you know, just people are more consumed by things like that and let things like that affect them than things that should affect them or do affect them.
Absolutely.
So, you know what I mean?
And,
so
that's by design.
Of course.
They've got us sedated, you know, by design, man. So
100%. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens though. But these projects definitely need to have a lower barrier to entry, because if as a U.S. citizen to use Pillar, I got to go through all those loops. I used to develop applications like mobile apps and stuff. It's got to be a straight on ramp, and so I think there's a company called Abra. You ever heard of Abra?
I've heard of it, yeah.
They're trying to do like direct fiat to crypto, kind of be the middleman for that stuff. If these companies, these projects can start to like institute those types of services, I think it's going to quickly increase adoption. But I don't know if it's going to happen, because Abra was going through some issues. You know, that's like a choke point for the central banks and governments to really block, though. Like, if you have that middle person that says fiat, I'll take your fiat. They have an API. You know, all these different projects can use Abra. Well, now we have one central choke point. So if the government decides to come in and clamp down on Abra, that shuts off all of the other projects that uses that API and service. So I don't know how it's going to pan out.
So are you essentially saying that you have a gut feeling that maybe we won't see mainstream crypto adoption?
It's gonna take longer than I first anticipated. I think so. Yeah, it's gonna take longer. And when you ask that question, do you mean like mainstream adoption to actually be utilizing this like blockchain apps and stuff, or just holding cryptos?
I guess both.
Holding cryptos, I think will come. I think that'll continue to move forward at a decent clip, at a decent pace. But I don't really care. Like, I don't really care about that aspect of it, because that's all speculation. You know what I mean? Like, we're not using these coins. I think the token side, when people, there's, you know, the utility tokens, I think that's where the real power is. But I think that's the one that's going to take the longest, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, and like, you know, we've talked about this before, you know, and I just brought it up kind of, you know, it could be possibly the black swan event that changes that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. If fiat, I mean, we know Bix's theory on this, and right. You know, I don't know if you know, his theory, it will come to fruition or not, but if something happens to the dollar and fiat money, then that might be what happens. You know, that could definitely help this move forward into mass adoption and use.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
yeah,
not
Black
that I'm
Swans, yeah, you definitely are right about that. The Black Swan events, who knows what happens with that?
right.
You know,
I mean,
we can only just speculate and guess.
Right.
No
I mean,
one
and,
has a
and
right
you talk
answer.
about it and you get called a conspiracy theorist or, you know, a nut job or whatever. But, you know, look at what's going on. And it's mathematically impossible that things are just going to keep going on the way they're going.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible.
So.
They said, give me all your Bitcoin and lock aim. Then Jamie Dimon showed up and the shots rained. So they hopped in a Lambo and took off fast. Welcome to the Block Party Podcast.